gonna work. Last time I tried this, last week, it was, I started horizontally and for whatever reason it ended up vertically. So hopefully this is working. Let me adjust my camera. Hello everybody, it's Tuesday, woohoo. Well gosh, my background's gonna have to change if I'm gonna be up and down from now on, but that's okay. We roll with the punches around here. So happy Toes Day. It is April 20th, and it is Tuesday at 4 p.m. We're live every Tuesday on Soul Heart Entertainment page on Facebook. And if you are unable to make it live, feel free to reach out through the chat box to ask questions and or to watch the videos after the fact on my YouTube channel, Jamie Allen Bishop Soul Reader, S-O-L-E Reader. Anyway, so let's get started today with our Toes Day map. We're talking about ether, air, fire, water, and earth. Left being yin or our internal self, right being yang or our external self. And we're talking about the air toe today, or the communication toe, which is our pointer finger toe. So ether is destiny or the big picture, air is communication or creativity, fire is action or temperament, water is how we go with the flow or not, otherwise known as our relationships in life. And then the only one that's different from foot to foot is our earth toe, which is on the right-hand side about our prosperity and abundance, and on our left-hand side, it is about faith and trust. So let's get straight to it. Communication. Hi, hon.
Hi.
He's so silly. Such a good supporter, though. Is it correct on the screen, just so that I can make sure that I'm filming this appropriately? Awesome. Good. Wonderful. Thank you very much for the confirmation.
You're welcome. What happens when you do that? That's kind of cool.
So weird. All right. So yeah, let's get started on communication toes. So one of the things that I really love about communication toes is that they show us how we are making progress as far as staying true to who we are and what we're about. Sorry, I'm adjusting the camera. I've moved some stuff around the house, and I've not been working from my desk space, so it's all wonky, but that's okay. We'll get right to it. Communication, as you may know, is the key to success in anything, whether it's relationships, whether it's love relationships or colleague relationships, whether it's our family, whether it's our friends. If communication isn't part of how you go about solving challenges that we come across, it really can bite us in the butt, meaning that it can put us down a dark, yucky spiral. It can put us in a bad way. It can maybe make us not show up as our highest best self in any given instance. And so communication in and of itself is the key to success when it comes right down to it. Let's be completely honest about that, right? So when we're really good communicators, we're really good at, in my personal opinion, letting people who affect our lives know what our expectations are. Because when we don't know what our expectations are, or when they don't know, when we don't know what our expectations are, we don't know why we're upset when something upsets us. When they don't know what our expectations are, they don't know how to meet them. They don't know how to meet those expectations, right? So yeah, it's kind of hard to make you happy or to help create a primrose path or an easy path to pursue if you're not communicating your wants, needs, and desires with the people around you, right? So I'll give you an example of how this is kind of rampant in our society. And I think I used the right word, but if I didn't, forgive me. On our birthday, we here in America, on our birthday, we put candles on our birthday cake and we blow out the candles to make a wish. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I was growing up, I always heard, don't tell anybody your wish or it won't come true. Okay, first of all, there's so many things wrong with that statement, I can't even begin to tell you. But the thing that's the most wrong with it is that that's completely false. It's exactly the opposite. The more people who know about your wishes and desires, the more likely those wishes and desires are to come true. Because there are a couple of things involved in that. One is when your wishes and desires are known to the people who love and support you, holy cow, they move mountains to make sure you get what you want, to get the things that make you happy. Number two is by stating it out loud in a public forum or where other people that you may or may not know can hear it, you are declaring it to the universe that indeed is what you wish for, right? So, I was talking about birthday cake, if this is somebody new who joined me on the live, and I'm having to completely adjust all of my settings. Oh, that's better. Okay. All right. So anyway, point being, when we communicate our wants, desires, needs, whatever, we are 10 times, if not 100 times more likely to get them, right? So if your friends, family, and colleagues don't know what you want, they have a whole heck of a lot harder time figuring out how to make you happy, right? So by all means, communicate those wants, needs, and desires. So in talking about what that looks like in the toes, here's what I'm going to show you first. These are my go-to toes because they come out straightforward. They come out off of the toes with their toenails upright, toward, and of course when these feet are on the floor, they come up toward the Lord. So those toenails, which represent the windows to our soul or our window to our desires. Hi, cousin Gary, I looked at your middle name. Hi, thank you for being here. Anyway, so when our wants, needs, and desires are communicated, that is the best way for people to get us what we want, right? So on these toes, what we're talking about is the pointer finger toe is the communication toe. And when they come straight forward off of the toe, and their toenail is straight up to God or heaven, this is somebody who is communicating exactly what they want and exactly how they want it to appear in their life. One of the things that is really exciting about those toes is that because she communicates what she wants, the big picture in her life looks really good. It looks really exciting. The action that she's taking is in alignment with action as the middle toe, relationship is the ring finger toe, and then the baby toes on these feet are the only ones that are just a little bit, leaning out to the future. So she has a lot of future thoughts when it comes to the baby toes in her experience. But everything else is pretty darn straightforward. The one thing that this person might be better off doing, or where she can work on showing up just a little bit more authentically, hi Simon, thanks for joining, is by opening up. Okay, so most toes that are in a healthy state are coming across as toes that have a little bit of space between them, okay? So if she were to open herself up to even more good things that showed up for her, boy, she would have a pretty exciting life that she doesn't even dream about it. She doesn't allow herself to dream about it because it's too scary to dream that big for her. So I would welcome her to just open up to the possibilities and look a little bit more to her intuitive nature or her angels or her God to fulfill some of the dreams and wishes that come across, however they come across. So let's talk about these toes that I showed earlier that have this lovely space between the toes, okay? This person is really open to receiving information. They're really open to looking at what that means to them. The thing that strikes me about these toes that's maybe something that she might want to work on a little bit is, well, what's interesting is, okay, so here's something that I don't talk about a whole heck of a lot, but I think that it's important to talk about for these particular toes. So where your toe meets your foot is the time, this is the timeline of life, is where your toe meets your foot is birth, and where the toenail and the tip of the toe is, that's kind of the present tense, okay? So where it's kind of like, the present tense is maybe, no, it's really at the tip of the toe. So what ends up happening is on this toe, so on the big toe and on the communication toe, those both come all the way back here. But when you kind of draw a line over to the next thing, you kind of go up, right? And then the next thing you go down. So if I were to place like an arch, and I were to only put that arch where the toe meets the foot, are you with me on this? You can see that there's a little bit of webbing happening between the communication toe and the action toe, okay? On the right foot, it's showing up not, in fact, the right foot isn't anywhere near as pronounced as the left foot. Like the left foot, there's a really, really very distinct kind of webbing, right? So what ends up happening is this person needs to communicate what actions she wants to take, or the actions don't end up happening because she gets caught in her head. She may overthink it. She's probably really, really analytical. And so the action and creativity that is, you can see that her toes are wide open to receiving all kinds of exciting information about it. But until she kind of lays out a plan of action, that plan isn't ever going to come to fruition because it's stuck in that space of like receiving all kinds of information and all kinds of excitement around what she wants to create in her life and the actions that she wants to take, but she's like not communicating it. She's not creating a plan of action, so it ends up just being like all this different kind. So she probably jumps from one desired outcome to the next, to the next, to the next. So it's very interesting to see how these personalities show up. So while I would never suggest being, closing down that gap, I like that it's open. I would just welcome her to look more clearly at how she can create a plan of action, or how, if she meditates, I would definitely welcome her to meditate because she's already receiving the information, and that's probably why she's going from one place to one place to one place to the next, to the next, to the next. But if she were able to receive it meaning the information that she's getting, whether it's coming from TV, whether it's coming from news, whether it's coming from people in her life, whether it's coming from classes she's taking, it doesn't matter where the information, divine guidance, it doesn't matter where she's receiving the information from. It just matters how she's capturing it, or if she's capturing it. Because when she doesn't capture it, it ends up showing up as those those toes that have a whole bunch of space between them, but there's not a whole heck of a, then they kind of take that dive to the earth because they're kind of holding on for dear life. They're kind of holding back because it's like so much to process. They can't get traction on it. Does that make sense? So that's one of the things that I look at when it comes to that second toe, that pointer finger toe, or the communication toe. The other thing that I look at is the tip of the toe and how it shows up. Is it showing up rounded? Is it showing up straight across? Is it showing up with one side of the toe having a little bit more, padding on it or skin on it than the other side? So these toes, these are perfect toes to talk about because these toes have a little bit of everything going on here. So like, if you look at where this toe is showing up, it kind of comes straight, and then it kind of curves out to this baby toe side, okay? So if we look at our toe reading map, if I can remember where I put it, here it is. So if we look at the toe reading map, anything that leans toward the baby toe side is about how we show up with future-oriented thinking and words and ways of behaving. Anything that leans toward the big toe has to do with past thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So when we take that into consideration and we look back at these toes here, what we're looking at is somebody who is very future-oriented. Like they think about the past, because look at how it's coming toward the past, and then they take a steep dive to the future. So it's almost like there's conflict there. It's like she doesn't want to think about the past because that's what she knows is holding her back, but she's thinking too much in the future to be able to create communication that comes across as authentic and well-spoken. Does that make sense? So it kind of shows up, if you see it, it shows up on both of these toes, okay? So it kind of has that L-shaped pattern to it. The other thing is that both of these toes kind of show, I'm trying to keep my light from reflecting on the photograph, but the toes both kind of take this little bit of a dive to the earth. Whereas you can see that if I were to see these from this angle, from the from looking at the toenails, if I were to see these toes from that angle, you would see that the big toe kind of swoops up a little bit. So there's some positive thinking going on there. But then the way that she's communicating is a little bit more negative. When things take a dive to the floor, it's just a little bit more negative. It comes across maybe as, doomsday or concerned or worry. And when we're in a state of worry, we're thinking too much about the future. When we're in a state of depression, we're thinking too much about the past. The only way to show up as happy and truly be in a state of happiness is to be in the present, right? We can't worry if we're not thinking about the future. We can't be depressed if we're not thinking about the past. So the best way to be happy is to focus on the here and the now. And the best way to do that is to be fully present. So that's one of the things that I would definitely welcome this person to do. The other thing is that if I divide this toe directly down the middle in half, the padding on the future side of the toe is thicker than the padding on the past side of the toe. So that's another clue that there's a lot of future-oriented thoughts. So there's probably a lot of worry involved in how she's communicating. So how does that end up showing up in our lives? So maybe let's just say, for the sake of argument, let's talk about money a little bit. So let's say that money is a concern for her. The way that she's going to communicate it is it's going to come across as like, well, we won't have it soon, so we need to not spend it now, right? Instead of embracing this idea that money comes easily and naturally, I'm a money magnet, I always have more than enough money. those kind of thoughts obviously attract the money to you far more than, well, we're not going to have it, so we have to hold it. So we can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, so I would welcome her to put those concerns, right, about the future, and kind of rein them in a little bit, bring them to the present tense and say, I have more than enough money right now. I have more than enough money right now. That doesn't mean go out and spend frivolously, obviously, but it does mean that when you're in that state of, I have more than I need, I have more than enough, I attract all the money necessary to do exactly what I want to do, that's how it ends up kind of magnetizing itself, like attracts like. And the same is true with, it's not a mistake that money is referred to as currency, because that currency ends up being attracted to itself. So if we have positive thoughts around it, we definitely attract more of it, right? So, and I have no idea if that's what the concern is here, but there's definitely some concern. There's definitely, more future speak than maybe serves her in the best light possible. So I would welcome her to hone in on those skills of communication, just be hyper aware of the words that are coming out of her mouth. And I don't know if you guys know this, but one of the things that's really magical about words, and if you've never read Angel Words by Doreen Virtue or seen any of the scientific data involving how crystals form when words are spoken to the glass that the crystals form in, the glass of water or the tube of water, it's fascinating. Because when words of love are spoken to that water, the crystals form beautifully and symmetrically and gorgeous. And when words of anger or hate or fear are spoken to the water in the tube, the crystals show up lopsided and not symmetrical and off center and clumpy in some areas more than other areas. And it's totally fascinating. So if you have not seen any of those experiments, definitely Google them, because words are magical. There's Florence Scovel Shinn from the 20 until 1940. She wrote a series of books on how significant language is in how we manifest things in our lives. And one of the things that she wrote, in fact, one of her book titles was Our Words Are Our Wands. And I just think that that's so true. It's absolutely true. So just be hyper aware of what you're saying. Here's the piece of information, the other piece of information that I was going to share, which was that a positive thought is thousands of times more energy filled than a negative thought. So when you notice yourself thinking those negative things or saying those negative words, it's great. It's just like, kiss yourself all over, because it's wonderful that you've noticed that you have these things showing up so that you can shift them. Hi, Susie, so glad you're here. So yeah, so when we notice them, it's just our awareness that will help us shift them and shift them into the words that serve us so much better. So we were talking about these toes today, Susie, and one of the things that these toes show is that the communication toe, the second, the pointer finger toe, has more padding on the future side than on the past side. And that future tense languaging can get us into a state of worry over things, whether it's money, whether it's relationship, whether it's our health, whether it's, anything, just anything in life. Future speak is about worry. Past speak is about depression or things that bring us sadness. It's only we can only be happy in the present. Haha, that's why it's called the present. Anyway, so yeah, so just be aware of your words, notice how they're showing up for you, thank them, thank your brain for recognizing when they're not serving you in the best way possible, because your brain is like, hey, wait a minute, what did that person say about that thing about negative words? Like, negative words don't serve us anymore. So how do we shift this? How do we create these words into happier, healthier words for our spiritual, for our soul, literally? And good job for noticing, brain. I'm so proud of you. Awesome, because that's the only way you can shift is when you recognize that they're showing up in your life. And then when you speak those positive words, they're thousands of times more powerful than the negative words. So they just like wipe those negative words right out. And the more we notice them and the more we shift them, the more powerful our words are. And so we can literally use our words as our wands and make them bring amazing, cool, fabulous things into our lives. So is there anything that you would like as far as communication? I want to point out, these are some of my man toes that I love so much. One of the things that men they've had to be really careful about what they say and how they say it for years, decades really, if not longer than that. But that's how that shows up in the toes, is when the toes kind of bubble up at the tips. That means that they're kind of holding back what they have to say. They're biting their tongue. They're not quite speaking their truth. They're being a little bit cautious about the words that come out of their mouth. And isn't that what I just told you to do? It's actually not what I just told you to do. I just said become aware of the words that are coming out of your mouth so that you can shift them. But when we're holding back the words that we are supposed to be saying, or that universal intelligence is having us communicate to the world around us, to the people around us, to the places, people, things, ideas, that's what we're here for. We're not here to bite our tongues. We're not here to, play nice. We're here to show up and be our authentic selves and love to the best of our ability everybody. Our friends, our neighbors, the people we like, the people we don't like. And it's not always easy. But isn't it pretty exciting to think about this world and the shift that can happen in this world when all of us collectively show up as our best selves every day? It's really exciting to me. I know I like it. I love the way that feels. It feels really, really fun, and I can't wait. And it does. It gets that much better and that much better every single day to me. So anyway, I think that's it. Unless you guys have any questions that you want to pop on and showcase, I can tell you about something, anything, right? I know. We're powerful people. We are powerful beings. Own it. Love it. It's fabulous to be powerful. What amazing things can we accomplish with that power? Really, really great things. All right, you guys, I'm going to sign off for today, but thank you so much for being here. I loved that you were here, cousin Gary and Susie. You're awesome. I think Simon was on for a bit, and Jean. Mwah. Love you all so much. Have a great day. Happy Toes Day. Join me next week. Bye for now.